Hello everyone, it's Old Guardian here. In this very channel video, I'm going to tell you some real sweet secrets about the Event Dungeon. Because the Event Dungeon, there are some peculiarities with the Event Dungeon loot, which makes it absolutely wonderful, the best dungeon in the game for Dungeon Divers tournaments. And also there are some peculiarities with the Event Dungeon tournaments themselves, and by doing just the right stages you can gain a lot of points in those, but the stages are not necessarily what you think. First, thank you Raid Shadow Legends for sponsoring this video and for upgrading my promo link again for September. Down below in the description from the QR code you can now get absolutely, this is getting ludicrous. I mean, they start to raid with the new account that gets Deacon Armstrong after the tutorial, Uugo at 15, Tagoar at 20, and Mausoleum Mage at 30. This is totally bonkers. My old accounts look so bad compared to what you can start a raid with now. This is going to get you set up for months and months of fun times with raid. But Event Dungeon. The Event Dungeon is a temporary dungeon with a special boss. So for example, when I'm recording this video, there's currently a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles collaboration going on, and the special boss in the Event Dungeon is none other than Shredder. Event Dungeon drops some exclusive gear. Previously it used to drop Pinpoint set, now it drops the Chronophage set, and it also drops a bunch of regular sets which you don't really want from there because you kind of want that exclusive set. But anyway, so there's already some reasons to go there. There's special boss, there's exclusive gear, and while some things does change the set and the boss, some rules do remain the same across different iterations of the Event Dungeon. First of all, the Event Dungeon drops artifacts, accessories, and ancient shards at 0.5% rate, so that's actually the same rate that all dungeons drop ancient shards. That's not special. What is special is that Event Dungeon at no stage drops brews, mystery shards, or common or uncommon loot. Because typically on lower stages up to 15, you can get some brews or mystery shards instead of gear from gear dungeons, and that of course sucks. And it also lowers the points that you get in various tournaments by a lot. And Event Dungeon does not have these drops, so Event Dungeon is a lot better. Because other than the missing brews, mystery shards, and common and uncommon loot, the Event Dungeon has the exact same gear drop rates as other dungeons do. Which means that in stages before 16, it actually drops a lot more gear. Because typically you would get mystery shard every now and then instead of the gear, but now all of that is filled with gear. And this has major consequences for two tournament types. First of all, the Event Dungeon tournaments themselves, and then Dungeon Divers. First, let's take a look at Event Dungeon tournament. So typically you would have like a Dragon tournament or an Ice Golem tournament. You can also have an Event Dungeon tournament. The regular dungeon tournaments, they have these sweet spots right before the energy cost changes typically. So stage 7 is better than 8 or 9, but then 11 is already good again, and then 11 is better than 12, 13, 14, 15, but then 16 is good, and then 16 is better than 17, 18, 19, but 20 is good, and 20 overall is the preferred stage. That's how it usually goes with gear dungeons. But the Event Dungeon is different. Stage 20 is still optimal, but the lack of brews makes typically ignore stages much better. And in fact, in Event Dungeon tournaments, stage 15 gives you more points than stage 16, which is something that's like completely unfathomable for all the other dungeons. And here is a little table. Event Dungeon Tournament Energy. This is based on the pizza points that were needed for the latest Event Dungeon Tournament. 1200 points or 1700 points depending on your account level. And there you can see that stage 20, if you need 1200 points, stage 20 requires around 1078 energy to do that, which is kind of nice. Stage 16, 1234 energy. But then stage 15, 1222 energy. Stage 14, 1258 energy, and even stage 11, 1256 energy. Typically stage 11 would be like maybe 20% weaker than stage 16, but now it's almost the same. So the lack of those brews means that some of these stages are just really, really good. Stages 3 and 7 are not quite as competitive in this kind of tournament, but starting from 11, you're looking at some really sweet, much easier tournament time for these mid-level stages than you would in any other gear dungeon. but the best is yet to come, because where it gets really bonkers is in Dungeon Divers. Even Dungeon is the single best place to farm Dungeon Divers points. It's up to 24% better than any other option you have. The maximum Dungeon Divers points that you can get in Gear Dungeons actually come from Stage 3. You typically don't really want to farm Stage 3 because the loot is kind of useless, and the difference between running Stage 3 or then running Stage 16 or 20, that's only like 5%. So, okay, you kind of don't want to do that. But even Dungeon Stage 3 beats regular Dungeon Stage 3 in points by 24%. And that Stage 3 already beat the other stages by a few percent anyway. So, that is a huge energy saving. So if you look at these tables, we have Dungeon Divers energy in Gear Dungeons. These are based on the latest fusion that we had, where the fusion, depending on your account level, you needed 2,700, 3,350 or 3,700 points, and then how much energy you would need to spend in various stages. So to get 2,700 points in various other Gear Dungeons, Ice Golem, Dragon, it doesn't really matter, all of them are the same. 3,900 energy in 11, 3,500 in 16, 3,500 also in 20. So 60 is very, very strong for Dungeon Divers usually. But then we look at the Event Dungeon. So 16 and 20 are exactly the same, because those don't drop any brews anyway, so the loot doesn't change there. But the stages that would otherwise drop brews. Stage 11, 3,200, wait, 3,272 energy compared to 3,516, okay. Stage 7, 2,935 energy compared to 3,516. Stage 3, 2,720 energy. So to get to 2,700 points in a Dungeon Divers event, if you do Stage 20, you spend 3,500 energy. Or you can just do Event Dungeon Stage 3 and spend only 2,700. That's a difference of 800. That's a difference of more than 800 energy. That's just unfathomable. This is something that just has not been available anywhere else. So because of some peculiarities in the Event Dungeon loot, that means that Event Dungeon has really surprising advantages and also sometimes at really surprising stages. So in the Event Dungeon tournament itself. But if you know these secrets, and now you do because you have watched this video, then that means that you can save a lot of energy, or you can get a lot more points, and that means a lot more rewards and a lot more progress for your raid account. Thank you for watching. Click like and subscribe if you enjoyed this, and a special thanks to all of my Patreon supporters, YouTube members and Twitch subscribers who make all of these videos possible.